All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to peel back the layers on a specific legal case. It's Ernesto Garces versus People of the Philippines from 2007. And we're diving into this one because it's just a perfect illustration of how an appeal can completely change, well, two huge things: the definition of the crime and the actual role of the person accused.
Oh, it's a fascinating one. A really powerful demonstration of the court's revising power. So, to set the scene, the case starts with 5 individuals. They're charged with forcible abduction with rape. This all stems from a terrible incident back in 1992. The victim, who the records just call AAA, was on her way to church when she was taken to a tobacco barn.
Okay, but here's the part that sets up our whole conversation. The petitioner, Ernesto Garces, wasn't convicted as a main player. The trial court originally found him guilty as just an accessory.
Just an accessory, and that's the key. So let's unpack that huge shift in liability.
Let's do it. First, the crime itself. It started as forcible abduction with rape. So why did the Supreme Court eventually just say, no, this is simple rape?
Well, the Supreme Court's reasoning was that the abduction was, absorbed into the crime of rape. The legal thinking is pretty straightforward. If the evidence shows that the real objective was the rape, which it did,
right,
then the abduction is just seen as a necessary step to get there. It's not a separate crime. It just dissolves into the bigger one.
So the court simplifies the charge and also saw they ruled out some of the usual aggravators, like nighttime or an uninhabited place.
That's right. They specifically said those couldn't apply here. There was no proof that the accused, purposely sought out the dark or secluded spot to make the crime easier or to avoid being recognized. If it wasn't part of the plan, it can't be used to increase the penalty.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting for me. The liability of Garces himself. He starts as an accessory, which that means his actions were about helping to conceal the crime after it was already done, right?
Exactly. The initial conviction focused on him covering the victim's mouth and dragging her out after an alarm was raised, post-crime actions. But the Supreme Court, they dug a little deeper into the record.
And what did they find?
They found Garces wasn't just there for the cleanup. The totality of the evidence showed he was actually present during the abduction itself, and more importantly, he positioned himself as a lookout outside the barn.
A lookout. So it wasn't an afterthought at all. It was part of the ongoing scheme.
Precisely. His actions were, in the court's view, previous or simultaneous to the crime, and that demonstrates what the law calls a community of criminal design. He was cooperating with the crime, not just hiding it after. That's the fundamental difference that turns an accessory into an accomplice.
And his alibi didn't help him much either, did it?
Not at all. He claimed he was watching TV just 20 meters away. The court basically said it would take a minute to get there. It wasn't physically impossible for him to have been at the barn. So yeah, that failed.
So what does this reclassification from accessory to accomplice actually mean for his sentence?
It's a huge difference. Simple rape carries reclusion perpetua, basically life imprisonment for the principal. But the law says the penalty for an accomplice is the next lower degree. So for Garces, that meant an indeterminate sentence, not life, but a term of somewhere between 8 and 15 years. A major, major change.
And there's the financial side. There was a really unique twist here that feels like a cautionary tale about appeals.
Absolutely. So the complainant was entitled to damages. P50,000 for civil indemnity, another P50,000 for moral damages. But the principal accused, a guy named Pacursa, he withdrew his appeal. Garces was the one who kept fighting it all the way to the top.
He pursued it.
He did, and because of that, the court imposed an additional P50,000 in moral damages only on him, solely because he was the one who pursued the appeal.
Wow.
I mean, if you step back, this case perfectly shows that appellate courts have full power to revise a judgment. They can change the penalty. They can even change the very nature of your complicity in the crime.
And here's a final thought for you to take away. Think about that difference between accessory and accomplice. It's not just legal jargon. It's the difference between helping to clean up a mess and being one of the people who helped make it. And as this case shows, the law sees that difference as fundamental, with consequences that change everything, from years of your life to the money in your pocket.